Hey everyone, welcome back to Bee's Kitchen. Today I'll be sharing everything you need to know on how to make these beautiful traditional plain scones. These scones are flaky, crispy on the outside and on the inside is soft and buttery. Stay with me and let's get started. For the scones recipe, you will need the following ingredients. I have caster sugar, some unsalted butter, and the butter has been left at room temperature and also cubed. I have 1 egg, vanilla extract, salt, baking powder, self-raising flour, and I've sieved the self-raising flour, and whole milk. As always, all ingredients including measurement will be in the description box below. To the self-raising flour, I'm going to add baking powder and salt. Making scones lies in the height that they rise, and using self-raising flour will give you just that. Also, the salt adds flavor and the baking powder help create a little bit more lift. Now I'm just mixing everything together. I'm now going to go ahead and add the unsalted butter, and as I mentioned, ensure that your butter is at room temperature. Now the butter creates flaky layers within your scone. So once you've added the butter, mix the butter in with the flour at your fingertips until everything is well combined, where you get consistency like breadcrumbs. Once I've mixed the butter and the flour in, as you can see, it looks like breadcrumbs, the exact consistency I am looking for. So now I'm going to go ahead and add the caster sugar. Now the caster sugar is going to add sweetness to the scones. Also, if you don't have caster sugar, feel free to use granulated sugar. It works the same way. And now I'm just mixing the caster sugar and the flour together. Now time to mix the wet ingredients, and to whole milk I'm going to add vanilla extract and also egg. I prefer using whole milk because it has higher fat content and also add more richness to the scones. Also, the egg helps bind all the ingredients together, and again it increases the richness and flavor in the scone. And of course, the vanilla brings a different taste to the scone altogether. So once I've added all the ingredients, I'm just mixing everything together, ready for the dry ingredients. Now time to add the wet ingredients, and before I do this, I'm just making a hole in the middle of the flour mixture, and I'm going to go ahead and pour the wet ingredient and mix everything together. Now once you mix the wet and the dry ingredient together to form a dough, you may notice that the mixture is very sticky at your fingertips, and this is exactly what you're looking for. This will indicate that once the scones are baked, it is going to be buttery and soft on the inside. So please ensure you do not add any more flour at this point. Continue mixing everything together and allow it to be sticky. Also, if you don't want to use your fingers to mix, feel free to use a fork. As you can see, the scone dough is nice and sticky, exactly what I'm looking for. Now on a clean surface, I'm going to just sprinkle some of the self-raising flour on my counter, and then next I'm going to tip the scone dough on the lightly surface using my hands. Next, I'm going to gently flatten everything out, and also if you find that your dough is sticking to your counter, feel free to add a little bit more of the self-raising flour. Because I'm making scones, I am not going to knead my dough. You would only knead your dough if you're making things like bread or even pizza. Instead, I'm going to use a technique called folding. Now, the folding technique helps create flaky layers, and also it helps incorporate air in the dough. So flatten your dough, fold over, turn in half, and then repeat. Using a rolling pin, which I've dusted with a little bit of flour, I'm just rolling out my dough into 4 centimeters thick. Please try not to flatten your dough. You do want your dough to also have some thickness to it. Time to start cutting the dough. So I've placed extra flour in a bowl, and I'm going to use my scone cutter which I purchased from Amazon. Now I dip the scone cutter in the flour first before I press down on the dough. Reason being is this will help ensure that the scone cutter doesn't stick to the dough once I press down. So once I have my shape, I set it on a baking tray which is also lined with grease-proof baking paper, and then I continue to cut. And as you can see, I have finished cutting my scones, and as I mentioned, I laid them on a baking tray lined with grease-proof paper. So all that's left to do now is egg wash the scones ready for the oven. So I'm just going to crack one egg in a mixing jar, and then next I will just mix it together. Next, I will just brush the egg wash on top of my scones, and then I'll place it in the oven. Time to bake the scones. I've been preheating the oven at 200 degrees, and I'm going to bake the scones for 18 minutes until it rises and also the top is nice and golden. And as you can see, the scones are ready, guys. This smells so good. Afternoon tea is definitely ready in my house. Just look at these beauty, guys. You've literally made yourself homemade scones. I'm just going to pick one of the scones so you can see how beautiful it is on the outside. Just look at this, guys. Oh my goodness, I am so excited and I cannot wait to enjoy these scones, honestly. I've allowed the scones to cool down for about 5 minutes, and now I'm just removing them from my baking tray onto a plate. And next, what I'm going to do is actually serve these scones. I'm so excited. And we all know that the best thing to pair scones with is, of course, clotted cream and some strawberry jam. I love clotted cream and some strawberry jam, but of course, feel free to serve your scones with any type of filling of your choice. Now, I'm just going to cut my scone, and guys, just look at how soft it is. If I tell you this scone will melt in your mouth, you are certainly going to enjoy this recipe. Now, I tend to place the clotted cream at the bottom first, and then I add my strawberry jam. But of course, if you prefer jam first and then clotted cream, is entirely up to you, guys. if you're looking for the perfect homemade scones, this recipe is right up your street. So as always, thank you so much for joining me. Please don't forget to like this video, share this video, comment below, subscribe to this channel if you have not already done so, and please don't forget to click that notification bell which will notify you whenever I post homemade delicious recipes like this. Enjoy your scones and I'll see you next time. Bye.